What happens when two of the most cunning, resourceful masterminds clash? Yuno Grinberryall, potential future Wizard King versus Trafalgar Law, the Surgeon of Death. Let's break down why this fight might seem close, but in reality, it isn't. Yuno Grinberryall, the newly instated captain of the Golden Dawn, a natural-born enigma and a rival to R-Star, who shares the dream of becoming the Wizard King. Blessed by mana, Yuno wields not just the four-leaf clover grimoire and the wind spirit sylph, but also a second, the star grimoire, with abilities that, in some ways, inspired this video. Yuno's power is insane. With wind magic, he can fly and overwhelm enemies with devastating whirlwinds and wind blasts, but his ability to create counters to enemies is what sets him apart. You see, his wind magic doesn't just attack, it collects the dregs of enemy magic that lingers during a battle and condenses it in order to form counter weapons. And again, during his fight with Xenon, who initially was stronger in every conceivable way, being able to erase matter with spatial manipulation, Yuno adapted and eventually overcame this superior power. In the final war, Yuno takes things to another level, sustaining the first ever kingdom-wide mana zone, fending off Lucius while supporting his comrades through Neverland, showcasing his Wizard King tier potential by rebuffing his enemies and allies to turn the tide of battle, whilst also creating a perfect counter to Lucius's time acceleration and deceleration. His mana zone also allows him to borrow mana from his surroundings, hit omnidirectionally, and sense danger on a level that rivals One Piece's notorious observation haki, which is gonna matter later. But what makes him a problem for Law? Yuno's flight with wind magic, teleportation using stars, and the sheer speed he's accumulated over the series, which has long since surpassed light speed. Then you consider his agility and ability to create counters. It overall just makes him ridiculously difficult to pin down, which is a must if Law has any hope of winning this battle. On the other side, we have Trafalgar Law, a survivor of unimaginable trauma, the son of a great doctor and one of the most strategic fighters in One Piece. I mean, this dude will literally fake his death in order to gain the upper hand in battle. He was raised under the shadow of a deadly disease, and the hairy-legged, pink flamingo feather coat-wearing celestial dragon who killed his own family, and at the point where life seemed to have lost all meaning, he was saved by Corazon, who sacrificed himself so that Law could eat the operation through and cure himself of a seemingly incurable disease. This fruit, combined with Law's medical expertise, allows him to manipulate the battlefield in deadly ways. Law's combat style is unconventional. He doesn't rely on raw power but on precise, strategic moves like Gamma Knife and Kroom, which bypass an enemy's defenses and attack their insides directly. Law's resourcefulness is what makes him dangerous. Like I said, faking his death, swapping places with objects or enemies so that he can blindside them. He has countless ways to win, even when outclassed in raw strength, unless you have strong organs. But
I mean, it's alright, like, overrated as fuck.
His fight with Big Mom showcased his strategic mind and how he can easily turn the tide of a battle with surprise attacks. While his durability isn't necessarily on the level of other top tier characters like Kid, who deliberately ate punches from Big Mom, Law makes up for it with his surgical precision and his ability to exploit weaknesses in a creature's anatomy. Now let's talk power. Yuno's feats as someone who single-handedly destroyed all of the higher tier devils in the underworld, taking down a Lucius clone and protecting the entire kingdom from a paladin light shower, put him as one of, if not the strongest in the Black Clover series. We're talking multi-continental plus the moon tier power at the bare minimum. And as someone who's beaten Lucius, the same person who had access to Lucifer's powers, he's no slouch. Law's power, on the other hand, is a little bit more complex. The most notable, as of the recording of this video, is when he fought against Blackbeard, who is, of course, a Yonko, one of the most feared pirates in One Piece. And he held his own, using abilities like Shock Willy to bypass Blackbeard's durability, and extra brownie points for temporarily knocking out somebody with the body of a Quake Man using quakes. Though, in fairness to Blackbeard, he does have heightened pain sensitivity due to a dark root. Now, if you accept One Piece's large planetary scaling, considering Blackbeard's at worst multi-continental plus Marineford feat and the size of a planet, Law is certainly no slouch in the AP department. However, the real battle has never been just about power. It's about speed, strategy, and hacks. Both fighters have incredible abilities, but when you break it down, one has a clear advantage. Now, Law's speed isn't something to play with. After all, Kizaru has been given light speed statements in every medium. Logias have also been stated to be based on their natural derivatives, and it has finally been proven, something we knew years ago on Egghead, that after turning into light, Kizaru can still accelerate beyond it, disproving the notion that the verse caps at light speed, which was ridiculous anyway, given the existence of the Jammer Brothers. And Law has fought characters like Big Mom and Blackbeard, who can keep up with such high speed attacks, as well as fight Seraphim such as S-Hawk, who fought characters with greater than light speed feats, and depending on the canonicity, also have light speed statements like Sanji. But in a series like Black Clover, where light speed has been nothing for longer than I can remember, Yuno's feats are just on another level. Add in the multitude of linear speed multipliers like Zora, potentially Dante, which is a conversation for another day, something in which One Piece lacks, and I've talked about this in the past. The speed difference should be evident enough. What makes this conversation a little bit more difficult for some is who the first light speed statement comes from. Yami, who to me is a reliable source to convey the author's message explaining the speed of light magic, due to him being a very high tier in the series at the point in time in which the statement is made. Also, it's established that his magic is very slow, and despite this, he can keep up with wielders of the fastest magic due to things like reinforcement magic that all mages possess to some extent, as well as the properties of dark magic. And then in the lightning situation, we understand that natural mana means that natural occurrences, especially with lightning speed varying, can be faster naturally in the Black Clover world than in our real world. Anyways, magic attributes are implied to be very important in this series, and Yami as a dark user is seemingly very well versed in dealing with his counterpart, using dark slashes which are particularly effective in slowing down wielders of light magic, allowing him to tag them. The only issue is when the divine ray is used, and Patri says he will hit the law with a speed and power that is completely unavoidable. Context matters here. Yami understands and completely focuses on defense. This is important as it would stand to reason then that he is no longer wasting magic on enhancing the speed of his attacks and reactions to keep up with Patri when this attack is being fired, as he no longer intends to dodge the attack but defend against it, nor does he even attempt to. Also, something people usually fail to consider here again is the quantity being expelled in a blast. It's supposed to be to such an extent that Yami is unable to slow down the attack, something seemingly reaffirmed when the dark divine ray is used in the Zagreb battle. Of course, Ghosh appears, who is the spitting image of and potential vessel for Jari, who reflects this attack, also calling it light speed, and that's to explain that. Not only is Tabata quite clearly once again reaffirming a attribute-based logic system in which magicians abide by and are well versed in, we then get the statement that mirror magic is the perfect counter to light magic because of this. But also, as this is Patri's final move, with most of his output going into the attack, it would make sense that he's no longer able to evade, as his full speed should come from the application of his presumably light-based reinforcement magic, something that should require sufficient mana to use, but he's exhausted. So from the looks of it, even though he potentially could have countered but not avoided the attack, rather than dodging it, he chose not to do anything because, as we heard, Ghosh was intended to be the host for Jari and he didn't want to hurt the vessel, making all of these occurrences completely consistent. And the same is true when the other members of the Eye of the Midnight Sun appear. Yami isn't able to tag Ryo until he releases a Dark Slash that slows him down, which has always been the case through the entire Patri fight. It could even be argued that after his all-out defensive spell, like I said earlier, he wasn't wasting mana on reinforcement magic to heighten his reactions before drawing his sword. Yami is also rightfully shown to be surprised that someone else could use Patri's light magic. This is only part of the reason as to why the claim of it being a blitz is so strange, because the entire group is clearly surprised about how somebody is using Voltos's teleportation technique despite the fact that he should be unconscious, which is why they check first, and we don't see where Raya is before he appears in front of Yami using light magic, which matters. Distance always matters in a speed conversation. Was Yami looking in the same direction as Asta and Finn during that sequence? And given the rarity of the attribute and the fact that he was trying to seal Patri, this again makes complete sense. Now, with the speed established, wind magic enhancing Yuno's flight and agility combined with his ability to teleport between stars, Yuno in some of the most important categories simply outmatches Law by a significant margin. With that being said, how would this fight play out? If Law opens with his typical strategy, setting up a room and trying to slice the battlefield, he might initially catch Yuno off guard. Law could attempt to land a decisive Gamma Knife or Kroom aiming for his vitals, but given Yuno's history with Xenon and spatial manipulation in his series, I'd say Amputate and Kroom are probably not his best bet. If he has a shot, it would most certainly need to be a counter shock into a Gamma Knife, but given Yuno's speed and teleportation, it would make it nearly impossible for Law to land a critical hit. On the other hand, Yuno would continuously increase his speed and power throughout the fight by amassing stars. With every second, his AP via Mana Zone would grow stronger, and his agility would skyrocket. Law's room, while powerful, would eventually get overwhelmed by Yuno's omnidirectional attacks and just sheer mana reserves. By the time Law tries to land a finishing blow, Yuno would likely have created a counter, nullifying Law's spatial abilities or outmaneuvered him with teleportation. Law's best shot would be in the early moments of the fight, but the longer it drags on, the more likely Yuno is to win. In the end, Yuno's versatility, speed, and ability to create counters just make him the likely winner. Law's hacks and abilities are impressive, but against someone like Yuno who can adapt to almost any situation, it simply wouldn't be enough. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to drop a like as it massively helps get this out to more people. If you want to take it a step further, consider subscribing since we're on the road to 10k. Unfortunately, my 90k TikTok account did get banned, but you can follow the new one through the link in the description. And as always, I'll see you guys next time. Peace.